Okay, folks, we'll reconvene our meeting. We left off at item number 6.1, reports, user fees and charges. We have received that for information. That was already discussed during the budget presentation earlier today. So we will now move to item 8, notices of motions, and we will start with Councillor James.
All right, everyone settled? Okay, thank you, through you, Chair Harris. It's been an interesting week. I'll start with this. And I want to make it very, very, very clear that youth safety is vital to our resilience in our community. It is something that I am passionate about, I am concerned about, and I do inherently believe that our youth are an area that we really need to focus on. That said, I submitted a motion earlier, and earlier this week, Police Chief Mark Crowell and I had a meaningful discussion and an opportunity to speak just about the need to build greater trust and collaboration within our region. And I made it clear that I have expressed my commitment to ensuring our youth are at the center of the community with the work that needs to be done and the deep passion that I have for youth and our youth. And we both understand that there's an increased need for more support to our youth now and into the foreseeable future, and I am conscious of the future in 7 generations from now, before, well, I'm long gone. So I have decided to withdraw my motion today. I do look forward to working with members of the community on innovative initiatives for our youth in the near future. That being said, I am indeed moving forward and will be submitting another motion for our November 1st budget meeting that aims to advance the well-being of our youth, all of our youth. And I hope that I will have support of this council when this is presented on November 1st. Thank you.
Okay, we now have a motion from Councillor Deutschmann. Before I call on him to speak to the motion, is there a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Councillor James. Councillor Deutschmann, it is your opportunity to speak to the motion. I understand that there is a presentation.
Chair Harris, if I could just suggest, I see there's another motion from Councillor James, which seems to be like a housekeeping matter. I'm fine if you want to deal with that, and then we could wrap up with mine at the end of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Can I raise a point of order, Mr. Chair?
Point of order, Councillor Craig.
I appreciate Councillor Deutschmann's commentary tonight, but he reminds me of the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, sort of echoing out, over blasting everybody. Can we turn the volume down just a bit?
Yeah, how far can we turn that down, actually? I'm just kidding you.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure whether Councillor Craig's looking for a heart, a brain, or courage.
Okay, we got comedy hour over with. So I think, okay, Councillor Deutschmann, we will go to Councillor James' second notice of motion then. If it's somewhat, we'll move along quickly with it to get to Councillor Deutschmann's. And we do need a seconder for it. So Councillor Hoonick seconded that motion. So Councillor James.
Yeah, this motion is an administrative kind of motion, getting some housekeeping in order. I recognized, going through that first budget session, it was a little chaotic that last day. And I think sometimes we need to establish a process to ensure, things move smoothly for us as council, but also for staff who will be, ultimately preparing things for us. So I am putting this forward with the hopes of just creating a more streamlined, seamless process this year with some deadlines or due dates for when we submit motions. Thank you.
Okay, I do believe it's fairly straightforward, colleagues, on this one. So if there is no discussion, I'd encourage us to go to the vote on eScribe. We'll pull that up. And that is carried. So thank you, Mr. Deutschman, for your patience. Like I was saying, we do have a presentation, I believe, with this. I will admit that it is somewhat unique and unorthodox for a council member to have a PowerPoint presentation. We'll let it run here on this one. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Deutschman.
Just before I start, Chair Harris, I just want to let you know I did confirm with the clerk about the opportunity to put it in a PowerPoint for the presentation, and there was nothing that precluded that. So I did check that ahead of time. Okay, so I just want to start off by saying, similar to the comments from Councillor James about her passion with respect to child matters, which a lot of us share. As a lawyer, I have a passion with respect to the law and statutes and rules and procedures, and a lot of this is driven from that, my presentation tonight and the motion. So I just wanted to say that as provided under the Police Services Act, Council determines how the Police Services Board will present its budget to Council. Next slide, sorry. If you go to the next one. And so what does a motion of council mean? And so a motion is a question considered by council. Once read, moved, seconded, debated, and voted on, it becomes a resolution. Next slide, please. And a resolution of council is a formal determination of a motion placed before a properly constituted meeting of council for debate and duly passed. And I just want to emphasize, we as council represent the 650,000 or whatever the number is, voters or residents of Waterloo region. As the 16 around that horseshoe, we have an awesome responsibility with respect to how we carry out our duties. And a resolution is a decision of council, and compliance is a substantial issue. This motion is about a lack of compliance by the Police Services Board to the February 2023 decision of council. Next slide, please. So under the Police Services Act, 4 sub 1, every municipality is responsible for providing an adequate and effective police services. And I just want to point out, the presentation we had today from Ms. Hine from police points out why we need to have more presentations and more review, because some of the information that was presented here was not exactly clear. For example, under 4 sub Police Services Act, it says a municipality, us, shall be responsible for providing all the infrastructure that includes vehicles and communication equipment. Not the responsibility of the police, it's the responsibility of us. Next slide, please. Similarly, the board is responsible for providing, ensuring there's an adequate and effective police services, and that's how we discharge part of that responsibility is having the board. Next slide, please. So Section 39 provides for the presentation of estimates by the board to council. And the term estimates is not defined in the Police Services Act. Next slide, please. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines estimate as a rough or approximate calculation. Next slide, please. So 39 sub 1 says the board shall submit operating and capital estimates to the municipal council. And then it will show, how they're going to maintain the police force, the equipment, facilities, all of that stuff. And it's an estimate. It's not the budget. It's an estimate. Next slide, please. The format of the estimates, the period that they cover, and the timetable for their submission shall be as determined by council. And I can tell you, and I know most of you know, when the term shall is used, that is a term of obligation. That's not a whether we will decide to or not. That's not a may. That's a shall, which is significant in law. Next slide, please. So Section 39 sub 3 goes on to say that after reviewing the estimates, the council, us around the horseshoe, shall establish an overall budget for the board for discharging those obligations. And council is not bound to adopt the estimates submitted by the board. So we're not a rubber stamp process because council controls the purse. All the funds of police are not police funds. Those are funds of the taxpayers of the region, and we are responsible for those dollars. Next slide, please. So the council establishes the schedule. The police board provides the estimates. Council establishes the budget. Next slide, please. And if the board's not satisfied, the board may request the commission review it, because there's always opportunity for discussion and negotiation, or continued discussion and collaboration, I should say. Next slide, please. So as per section 39, the decision of regional council on February 22nd established a timetable for the police services board to follow. That was clear and timely direction. Next slide, please. And that is and it asked for a draft annual budget to regional council and other things that's included in my motion. Next slide, please. So at the time the motion was debated, we were provided with an opinion from a regional solicitor. There were no jurisdictional issues and no contravention of the Police Services Act was identified. Next slide, please. The motion was passed by committee and council. All speakers were in support of the motion, and the Police Services Act requires the Police Services Board to comply with the decision of council. Next slide, please. Under the Code of Conduct, respect for decisions of council, members may communicate a position that is contrary, but they refrain from making disparaging comments about other council and demonstrate respect for council's processes and decisions. My motion is brought about as a result of asking on three occasions what is happening with respect to the budget and our request for the Police Services Board to submit. We've not had an adequate response, and I think it's a serious matter. It's a serious matter of council, and I think it requires, out of no other recourse, but to say to police services that we're not satisfied with what they've done, and that they come back to us with their preliminary budget. Thank you very much.
Okay. I don't see any questions or comments, so we can pull up eScribe and we can go right to a vote, colleagues.
So it'll be recorded. I guess it's all recorded. Will that be identified for?
They're all recorded.
Okay.
Councillor Salonen, if are you online still by chance? Councillor Salonen? So that is a tie 6-6, resulting in a defeated motion. Thank you, everybody. So I do not see any further business. So I will ask for a mover and a seconder to.
Chair Harris, I just wanted just point of order. I hope the clerk is tracking how many tie votes I end up with. This may be a record for a term. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're adjourning. We're making a move to Councillor Foxon moved to adjourn, seconded by Councillor Shantz. Over to eScribe. I don't think we're going to have a tie one on this one.
Chair Harris, I just want to say go Rangers.
So, colleagues, just on that note, that although we had a scheduled time for tomorrow morning, should this run over, we will no longer need that time. So I encourage you to be productive with some free time. Yes, we do have a 9 o'clock meeting. So the next meeting will be on November 1st, 2023 at 11 a.m. Look forward to seeing everybody again November 1st.